Shabbat Shalom. In Torah, there's a spectrum of behavior from people to God, of rebellion to compliance. We rebel against God, we comply with God, but mostly we do something in between. Adam and Eve rebel. They eat the forbidden fruit. They are kicked out of Eden. On the other hand, Abraham complies. Lech lecha, God says, out of nowhere, get up and go. And Abraham gets up and goes. Take your son, your favored son, the one that you love, and Abraham does. We like to think that that system of rebellion or compliance was then, but I think it's now. I think that denial of God's existence is just the latest form of Jewish rebellion against God. I know it's not everyone here that does that and that falls into that category, but it is pretty common. We love to reassure people of all ages that don't worry, you can be Jewish and you don't even have to believe in God. You don't even have to believe in anything. We're proud of that. We wear it like a badge of intellectual honor. Through modernity and science and reason, we've evolved past all that God business. There's this sense that you don't really need to have faith to be a part of our faith. A famous philosopher once wrote that we were told that faith could move mountains, but no one believed it. We are now told that the atomic bomb can remove mountains, and everyone believes it. We've replaced faith with fact. Instead of belief in God, we're interested in proof of concept. My question tonight is, what would it be like if we rebelled a little less? What would it be like if we believed a little more? Several years ago, I was a student at the University of Wisconsin, trapped by a blizzard in the tiny airport of Madison, Wisconsin. The scene was fairly typical. I sat for hours in my sweatpants, laptop in hand, watching the snowfall along with dozens of other students, eager to return home for Thanksgiving break. My aggravation was just about at its peak when out of a corner of my eye, I noticed a group of grown men wearing matching orange robes. Before me stood a cluster of Tibetan monks whose plane had just landed. I'm not sure how many people in this room have been to the state of Wisconsin, but I can assure you that the sight of Tibetan monks fully dressed in their saffron-colored robes is not exactly common. As it turned out, these monks had traveled to Madison for what would become the most influential study of the interaction between science and belief. The study legitimated the field of neurotheology, or what's sometimes called the neuroscience of spirituality, as a valid area of research. I'm mentioning it because I'm trying to ask us all to experiment with the practice of believing in God a bit more, and that begs the question, from where does faith even begin? Why do some people like Abraham seem to have faith, maybe even too much faith, while others remain skeptical? Is God playing favorites, choosing from among the chosen people, dotting some of us with faith and others with doubt? After centuries of procreation, is there some God gene that us liberal Jews have recessed away from? So the scientists studied faith. They asked university students to meditate for 1 week. And they discovered that the contemplative practices were actually molding students' brains like clay. Soon the students' brains began to resemble the brains of the monks. The external practice of spirituality had changed the internal reality of the brain. Through repetition of spiritual practice, these students were altering their worldview. It's sort of astounding. Shifting your spiritual reality is not nature. It can be nurture. That means if you're a non-believer, you don't have to be a non-believer. And if you're interested in challenging your belief system, you need to alter your practice. So what if we did? What would your life be like if you decided to try and believe in God a little bit more? Might your life be a little bit better? Might you feel slightly more fulfilled? Would you receive satisfaction by being in dialogue with an ineffable force? Even scientists agree that faith is good for the human condition, that believing people are reportedly happier, more charitable, and contribute more to their communities, that having faith is shown to help us cope better, to be less depressed, to have less anxiety, and to predict lower levels of self-harm. That faith correlates to our physical well-being, where faith-based communities tend to drink less, smoke less, have lower blood pressure, and better health. That people of faith tend to be more involved in their children's lives and have more stable family units. Hippocrates called belief, quote, a sacred disease. Freud said it was a neurosis. But what if they were wrong? Because sometimes they were wrong, after all. What if belief in God is a window into another world just waiting for us to come through? We all possess the potential for belief. It's up to us to decide if we want to nurture it. Several years ago, Israeli archaeologists discovered the burial cave of a family. The family had survived the violent destruction of the temple in 586 BCE and was surely witness to national devastation and personal grief. Among the shards of pottery and other objects that archaeologists discovered in the burial tomb were 2 tiny silver amulets. After well over 2,000 years of internment underground, the original words inscribed upon the amulets remained. In an astounding statement of belief in the face of destruction, the amulets were inscribed with the words of the priestly benediction from the book of Numbers, the words that we end every single Shabbat service with here. They read, "May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God bestow divine favor upon you and grant you peace." Believing in God despite war, despite personal tragedy, despite our current understanding of the world, is one of our greatest inheritances. Faith is like a treasure that we need to nurture and cultivate. Our ancestors possessed this gift, and so do we. In every single person here lays the roots of faith. Science proves we each have the potential to expand, to deepen, to strengthen, and grow those roots. Let's try. May this Shabbat be one where we begin to do just that and improve our lives through a little more faith. I, for one, believe we can do it. Shabbat Shalom.